All right, so I just wrapped up a video talking about why the topper is better than the bed rack, but in a lot of cases, I do think that the bed rack is going to be better than the topper. So this video is going to be talking about why I think the bed rack might be a better option for you than the topper. So if you are getting value from this video, go ahead and consider subscribing, like this video if you can. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first reason I think so is because of modularity. Now, you could technically drill into this and mount stuff up there. However, I have no desire to do that because this is a nice and very clean topper here, so I'm not going to personally do that. The modularity of mounting for the bed rack is going to be a little bit better. You're going to be able to probably mount your MAXTRAX. You're probably going to be able to mount toolboxes up there, auxiliary storage for just really a lot of different things. So you're going to be able to put things on there a little bit better. Now, the reason that you're going to be able to do that, and the reason I didn't like that personally, is because I can just put my stuff in the backpack here and it's locked up and no one can get to it. So the reason that you would need to do that on a bed rack is because you can't lock stuff inside. However, it's nice because if something spills, like you've got some diesel fuel on the side or gasoline and it spills, then it's just going to spill down the side of your truck and not inside of your topper like this. So that is a little bit better. And I do think the modularity of the bed rack is just going to be a little bit better, especially if you want to mount MAXTRAX, stuff for overlanding, or you've got some giant toolboxes if you are going to be using it for commercial uses. So next up is going to be the ability to turn it into a truck a lot quicker. Now, you can easily remove this, and I do really like that because it's only 4 little bolts in there and you can just pop this off. However, you're probably not going to be able to put this topper off or put it on if you are by yourself. Now, bed rack, depending on the brand, you're probably going to be able to take that off no problem in a few minutes. It's probably just 4 little bolts, and you can probably, in most cases, remove them in little parts, little sections. So it's a little bit easier to do by yourself. If you're someone like me who doesn't like to burden other people, you move stuff on your own, take off rooftop tents on your own, do things on your own, then maybe the bed rack is going to be a better option for you. That Kuat Ibex I had was really easy to remove. However, the easiest one by far was the up top bed rack that I had for a little bit. That came off in a few minutes. It was super easy and I could take it off in sections. Now, this is not going to be true of every single case, but more often than not, the bed rack is going to be cheaper. You can get them for like $1,500, $1,000, some of them, but the toppers, $2,000-$3,000. You can get the toppers in, like the most basic. You can also find a lot of used ones. However, the same could be said about used bed racks. The bed racks are going to be a little bit more modular. Sometimes it'll just be full-size truck or mid-size truck rather than Tacoma versus a Frontier, whereas the topper is only going to fit on this one specific vehicle. So finding used ones might be a little bit easier for the bed rack if you want to save a little bit of money. But in almost every single case, a bed rack is going to be cheaper than a topper. Now, next up is going to be aesthetics. I do think the topper look personally is the best look, but it kind of softens the build up a little bit. It looks a little bit more like your grandpa's build. I don't mind that. I love that aesthetic of one kind of long thing, but maybe that's because I also like SUVs. But if you have a really odd color like mine, in like the tan that I have, it kind of just looks like one long, let's just say a tan eggplant. And it does kind of look a little bit weird sometimes if you look at it at the wrong angle, whereas the bed rack is in most cases going to look a lot more aggressive if you're going for that look. So if you do care about aesthetics, that is a personal preference. For me, I like the topper look a little bit better, but in almost every case, if you're trying to make like a more aggressive build, not look like a grandpa build, like a grandpa truck, then the bed rack is just going to look a lot better. I will say especially, I think the best looking bed rack out there was that up top overland rack that I had. It just looked like, I don't know, something kind of tactical, something like that. I can't really put my finger on what it is, but it looked really sleek and really aggressive. It just made the truck look really nice. So another one is going to be weight capacity. Now, the fiberglass topper is going to be able to hold, a decent amount of weight, probably up to like 200 pounds or something like that. You'll be able to camp on top, 500 pounds or whatever your weight rating is, no issues there. But when it comes to the bed racks, those are actually made to hold weight. So if you've got a bed rack, it is probably there to hold onto a rooftop tent, hold onto something like your ladders, you know, something like that. If you are using it commercially, just made to hold more weight. Now you can get stuff like the GFC, or I guess like the Extrusion Overland or the Kuat topper when that comes out, and those will be toppers that can hold more weight. But in almost every scenario, the topper is not going to be able to hold as much weight because it's probably going to be made of fiberglass. Again, it's not the end of the road if you do have a topper. And I was able to off-road, get back and forth, swaying around with a rack up there with a rooftop tent, 134 pounds, I think, and also an awning on the back. I had no issues, and I just had to make sure to keep it within certain specs. But if you have a bed rack, you can probably put as much weight up there as you want and not even think about it. So that is a benefit for the bed rack. So another one is that you're not going to have to color match it. Now, I'm not saying you have to color match your topper. It is really up to you. You can go with, you know, blue and red or orange and pink. It doesn't really matter. But I think most people are probably going to color match their topper to the truck, and that is going to be a little bit more difficult, especially if you have a really odd colored truck like mine. I have the Toyota Quicksand Tan, and getting a topper that matches that was really difficult. And you can go with a black topper just like you would with a rack, but most racks are going to be black. Some of them might come in like a raw aluminum. I don't see those as much, but most people are used to seeing a black rack on whatever color truck it is, so you can just go with the one color and it's very versatile. Whereas a topper, if you go with a black one or a mismatched color, it might just look a little weird. So being able to get black and it doesn't have to match, it's far enough away from the color that even if it's like kind of a grayish, it'll still look fine. Whereas a topper, if you're trying to get it close, it really needs to be a 100% match in order to look okay. Now this next one is going to be really only pertaining to a certain rack. Now, a lot of people will do the full height rack, so it's going to be about as tall as this, maybe taller, maybe a little shorter. But if you're going to be trying to save in miles per gallon, you get a little bit lower one, and you have a rooftop tent or you put your ladders up there, then that's going to be below that roof line, which is just going to give you a little bit better aerodynamics. So let's say here's your cab, here is your bed rack in the back, here's the front over here. That air is just going to flow over top of it, and you're not really going to have any issues. Whereas let's say we have the topper, if you put anything on top of it, well, now the tallest thing on here isn't this cab anymore, it's whatever you put on the bed. So it's just going to be a little bit worse for miles per gallon. So if you get a full height rack, it's going to be the same as the topper. But if you do get a little bit shorter, like a mid or sometimes even a low profile rack, then you're going to be able to put stuff on top and save on your miles per gallon. So for those reasons, I do think that the bed rack is going to be better than the topper for most people in that scenario. However, before you go ahead and make that purchase, if you haven't already seen it, I will put up here the video to why I think the topper is better than the roof rack. If you're kind of on the fence, then maybe you can look at both of these videos and compare them. So go ahead and tell me, guys, in the comments, would you put a bed rack on the back of your truck, or would you put a topper? Or do you like those new ones where they are a bed rack with some topper additions on them? What are your thoughts on that one? Let me know in the comments. That being said, guys, like this video if you like this video, subscribe down below if you like what I'm doing, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.